Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 276 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, thank you so much for making How About That Cigar part of your regular audio podcast
Excuse me, fine sir.
rotation.
Excuse me, fine sir. You
Yeah.
forgot one.
What did I forget?
Rambo!
We didn't even go through that part yet, but I did. I totally missed it. Gosh. See?
I'm gonna have to take my glasses off and be
Oh man. Thank you so much for being with us while we are live here. And if you would please take just a minute, click on all of those big, beautiful buttons.
Smash those buttons.
The like button, the subscribe button, the follow button. Don't miss any of those buttons so you don't miss any of the shows we have. And here in the Corona Cigar Studios, it is strangely warm for Minnesota in January.
Yeah, I don't have like 3 layers of clothes on right now, and
it might hit 50 tomorrow.
Oh boy,
it might hit 50. So if it hits 50, that's it. Shorts and t-shirts.
That's what I'm saying.
Outside, go for a run. Maybe not a run. Not in my case.
I'll go play 38 holes.
I'll go for a brisk walk.
I'll go play 38 holes tomorrow.
38 holes in one day.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Disc golf, not that real stuff.
No, I know, but still. Jeez,
38,
man. Jeez.
18 and 18. 36, excuse me, not 38. My math is off.
Well, all right, so a little bit of sports as always.
Why do we need to talk about sports?
The Super Bowl is
Yuck.
It's
yuck.
It is what it is. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Sorry, I'm just not.
Threw up in your mouth too. Every time I think about Philadelphia Eagles, it's vile in my mouth. It's just vile.
Oh, so that's our Super Bowl. And I mean, who's going to win? Whoever the refs make fewer mistakes against. I mean, this again. I don't believe the conspiracy theories as far as the NFL is fixing the games, but I do know that the refs are getting, over the past 7 seasons, the refs have gotten progressively worse. And this season, including the playoffs, there have been more mistakes by officiating crews in the NFL than ever before. It's been absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So
I feel really bad for Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah. That was absolutely a first down.
That was absolutely a first down.
And I mean, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, God bless you. But that was absolutely a first down for Josh Allen.
And now I have to be a Chiefs fan. I have to be a Chiefs fan. I cannot cheer for Philadelphia. There's no flipping way I could cheer for Philadelphia.
I can't really cheer for the Eagles either. The only reason that I don't want Kansas City to win is because if Kansas City wins,
it's first time forever.
It'll be
repeat first time
in the modern era. So there is one team that did a three-peat before the Super Bowl era, Super Bowl era.
Was it the Packers?
Yes, it was the Packers, but they didn't only do it once; they did it twice. They three-peated twice before the modern era. That is my Green Bay Packers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I will hang on to whatever I can, considering their season ended terribly against the Philadelphia Eagles of all teams.
And you know what? For some reason, I didn't have that much bile when you said the Packers as I did when you said the Phillies.
Yeah, we gotta just pick our spots where we're gonna be sickened by this Super Bowl. I mean, is what it is. But either way, Super Bowl is still fun. Get together with your friends, smoke some good cigars, have some good drinks, have some good food. Just make it more about the gathering and the camaraderie than the football game itself. Because really, I mean, who cares?
Unless you're a Chiefs fan.
Unless you're a Chiefs fan or an Eagles fan.
I feel no. We don't even like their fans. I don't like the fans either.
There was their fans have a bad reputation, and this year it got even worse because of that. You saw that guy that at one of the I don't remember which game it was, but it turned it into this national thing. Anyway, that's enough of football. Yes, Packers fans are always living in the past. Yes. And Vikings fans don't really have anywhere to live. Past, present, nowhere. Well, really.
there was about, if we want to talk something else about football, there was a bunch of head coach signings today. The Jets got one. Dallas got one. That's a laughing stock.
Well, those were over the past, in
the past week or so.
Yeah, I don't know about
the Bears. Got one.
Bears, I don't know about that one. The Dallas signing, I'm a little confused by, but he does have experience, so I kind of get it.
Fucking Risty.
I don't know. Go Bears, Risty says. Yeah, whatever. We'll see.
Carolina? Carolina got one too.
Yeah.
So whatever. So our other teams are mediocre. Let's get started on. Let's do a read. Let's pay some bills, and let's get our guest on here.
That really, he's honestly, that's exactly right.
Wait. Before you go there,
what am I hearing? I'm hearing a different.
Is the bearded one back?
Is he?
I mean, I could be. Do you want me to be?
Well, how about in voice? Let's go slow.
You want to hear this?
No,
beautiful bearded.
Bring him on. Come on. Let's see that.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys. Justin Lawler is back.
AKA Justy Smoke.
Justy Smoke. So our beloved producer here at How About That Cigar was on hiatus for a while, and we are grateful.
4 months.
Brother, Jesus. So grateful to have you back.
Yes.
So thank you for thank you for doing what you do for How About That Cigar and all of our wonderful members of the cigar community.
Thank you.
Grateful as all get out.
Welcome back, brother.
Yes.
It's good to be back.
Look like you trimmed that beard up a little bit.
I was going to today, but I was putting out fires literally across the street from my house, my flip-flops and my shorts in 30-degree weather, and put out a fire at my neighbor's house with my fiance today who found it, and luckily their house didn't burn before the fire department got there. But we put it out.
He sounds like a volunteer firefighter.
I should be. They told me I should be.
We put a garbage can fire out today.
Yeah. And then the guys get there, and they're like, we came out here for this. The guy had the little container and like a little hose with just water. And he's just like,
pump can,
Yep, that's all they did. But could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
definitely could have. So,
but at nighttime, they would have been screwed.
Let's jump into Spirit of Mystery.
We're not going to pay some bills.
Yeah, Spirit of Mystery does pay bills.
So, Spirit of Mystery today is going to be bourbon.
I got to do the thing.
Yeah, we got to do the thing.
Is it a new one?
No, there's no. But we'll spice it up a little bit. We'll spice. So yeah, Postania sponsors Spirit of Mystery, and the old ad read doesn't really work anymore. If you saw our top 10 list last week. So the old ad read for Postania was: do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars for Postania didn't make the HBTC list?
I'm not wondering. I'm
not wondering either, but found their way onto other lists. Well, fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry, otherwise known as Postania Cigars, the #2 cigar, on our top 10 list for 2024.
Surrounded by chumps. Champions.
So this week's Spirit of Mystery is in the glass, as you can see right here. It is a lovely bourbon. It smells fantastic.
It is a bourbon.
I'm gonna take I get a little bit of that thing I like.
That thing that you like so much. So what? Yeah, you know what that is. There's no. I have so much confidence that you're going to get this today.
Yeah, that's got that.
You know what that is. You've had that before. You know what that is.
That's that that Amberana wood.
I had to give you a softball here.
I'm not going to give it away, but we'll reveal the Spirit of Mystery later.
But you
later
did try 3 of them.
I tried
3 different ones.
It's a toss up, but I'm pretty sure I can pick this one out. We'll see.
We'll see what he's got.
Let's get our special guest on the show. And as always, on How About That Cigar Live. Oh my gosh, I can't talk tonight. On How About That Cigar Live, special guests are brought to us by Drew Estate. And Drew Estate announces a new member of the Deadwood line of cigars, the Girl with No Name Lonsdale. This cigar features a wrapper leaf from Mexico in a slim and elegant 7x44 Lonsdale format that promises a slow burn and nuanced smoking experience. The Deadwood Girl with No Name Lonsdale is presented in 20 count boxes with an MSRP of $11 per cigar and is available now at Drew Estate Retail Partners. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help us welcome back to the show, this time on episode 276 from Corona Cigar Company and FSG. Please welcome Mr. Jeff Borysiewicz.
How you doing, guys?
My
Good
brother,
evening, sir.
so wonderful to have you back on the show again. Always a pleasure.
It's been a long time since I've done one of these shows, so I'm glad to be back on and talking everything cigars, tobacco, or whatever you want to cover.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, I've noticed that you're in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a winter coat on.
I do. That's because when you live in Florida, if it's below 70, you start feeling a little chilly out. So I think right now it's probably about 60, but that's okay. It's dark out and it feels colder when it's dark.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Below 60.
But
when it gets above 35, we're in shorts and t-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Like today.
Oh, we just lost your audio, brother.
Lost his audio. What happened?
We could hear you a second ago. Now we can't hear
Hear
you.
me now?
Can't hear you, brother.
How
Hear you
about
now.
now?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Whew, that was scary.
Right.
But we talked just very briefly before we went live that you actually avoided the snow. You didn't get snowed on.
What is it?
A lot of people don't realize how big it is. You still got my audio?
Yeah, it's
All right.
going in and out. We'll stick with it.
Okay. If I need to, we'll go to the microphone.
Okay.
But anyway, Florida's a huge state, and where all that snow came was pretty much the Panhandle and I-10 area. So we're down in Central Florida. We didn't get any snow. I do remember in the 70s, though, when I was a kid, we did get a snowstorm where we had like a couple inches of snow on the top of the cars, but that did not happen this year.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, for us here in the studio to smoke tonight, I reached into one of the lowest shelves in my storage humidor for something.
Special?
It's old. It's not like insanely old, but it's old.
Is it
Oh, I got to put this on the big screen. What's
So
this?
we got a original 2014 unopened box of Herrera Esteli Lanceros.
Ooh.
So I bought a few boxes of these back in 2014 when they first came out, and they did re-release them again. But these are the OGs from 2014, and yeah, it's still got the. I mean, it's still got the ribbon and everything. It hasn't even been touched. So
And you know how much I hate Lancero.
I know you hate
I just
Lanceros.
hate Lanceros.
Get one of those over to Justin, please.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, these I'm excited. I haven't
These are
smoked one of
special.
these.
Thank you, brother. We
in
appreciate
quite
that.
a while,
Thanks.
and excited to see what they're smoking like 11 years down the road.
I
Awesome.
thought Justin was like on another way, way away, and then you just guys reach over there and he's right across the table.
We figured out how to do that already. I mean, you guys got to get up with the times, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you,
that AI that AI background. So Jeff, walk us through. 2025 is just barely getting started. So, let's go in the way back machine, and not way back, but just last year. Talk us through how was 2024 for everybody at Corona Cigar Company and Florida Sungrown.
So we'll start with the retail side. As far as that goes, the cigar industry is still strong. It flattened out in 2024, which is understandable. We had super high inflation and a lot of nervousness leading up to the election. So, but at the same time, people still enjoy cigars. I've been in the business for 27 or 28 years now, and we've gone through ups and downs in the economy, and cigars and whiskey, for the most part, people still enjoy them no matter what. And it's because even during times like 2008, 2009, during high unemployment, we'd still have people coming in because they want to get out of the house, they want to network, they want to keep their sanity. So cigar stores and cigars and booze kind of is somewhat recession proof. But 2024 was a good year for us. I think 2025 starting off is going to be a little bit slow because some people are just a little behind on their bills or things like that. But I think that there's a big positive feeling that things are going to get better. And like I said, cigars are always there to celebrate and make the day and life a little more enjoyable. So I feel real good about 2024. 2025. Another thing that's really interesting for the consumers is that the industry really, over the last 20 years, has just been continually putting out excellent cigars. You know, we had that post-boom era for guys that were around in the 90s where there were some quality issues and tobacco not being the greatest in the late 90s. But right now, the tobacco that's out there in the market and the cigars, you know, there's really great cigars on the shelves. We rarely run into problems with, you know, construction and draw and things like that. And our consumer base, and that's just speaking for Corona Cigar Company, our guys and ladies, they tend to like they like the best of the best. I mean, we do really good with the super premium cigars. And a lot of that has to do with our staff and just our culture that we you know, we push. You know, there's that saying, life's too short to smoke cheap cigars. And I do believe that if you're only gonna smoke 1 or 2 cigars a week, you deserve it. Treat yourself. You know, why try to pinch a penny on yourself and just get, you know, smoke what you enjoy. And if it's a couple bucks more, hey man, honestly, you work hard, you deserve it. So can't take it with you. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we agree with you.
So one of the things that, because we've talked quite a few times on the show and gotten to learn a lot about you and your business history and stuff like that. But I'm curious if you have ever explored the idea from a business perspective of locations or starting with a location not in Florida, or are you just dedicated to sticking, you know, keeping Corona Cigar Company in Florida?
Yeah, so I think that the moving outside the state of Florida with additional stores, that would be for what I call Corona Cigar 2.0, whatever that looks like, whether that's another generation or when I retire something. But, you know, honestly, I'm 56 years old, and you know, at some point, it just doesn't do you any good to nonstop working. You know, they always say that there's very few times people are in a hearse and they say, you know, thinking, hey, I wish I would have worked another day. And there's other, you know, I've been working since I was 12 years old. So, you know, for me, you know, we have a great company, we have a great team, we have great employees. But every time you open another store, you know, this is an independently owned company. So every time you open another store, you're laying out, you know, $3 million to do this or more, actually. And at some point, it's like, you know, if you go and open another store in another state, well, you know, I'm involved in business. Tanya's involved with the business, my wife. And it's just one more iron to go in the fire. And I have a lot of irons in the fire, not just with Corona Cigar, but there's a lot of stuff moving around all the time. So, so for me, I don't really, that's not on my plate, but it's definitely something Corona Cigar do. So without a doubt, I mean, if you know, sometime later, if I decide to sell Corona Cigar, whatever, whoever buys it can definitely take Corona Cigar to another level of opening other locations. We know how to do it. We know that we know the recipe. We know the secret sauce. We know how to do it. And a lot of times we make it look easy. It's not easy, but we're good at running these the type of operations we do.
Yeah. You got some. I stole your question. I didn't know if you had another one. I didn't mean to steal your question.
I do. We don't have the option or the ability in Minnesota to have a beverage with our cigars when we go into shops.
Right.
That's right.
How does that work for you? How does that flow? How does are you half cigars and half booze, or?
Now you guys know if you follow any of my Facebook stuff, I'm a highly political guy, right? So you can answer that question by just looking at what your politics are. You got a red state or a blue state?
Oh, we are pretty.
Well, it's a.
Yeah, you answered
if you break it down by county, then Minnesota's a red state. But if you break it down by where all the population is, it's a blue state.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that if
country.
You know, the states that you can do what we do, generally more geared towards freedom. And at the same time, what happened? Let me tell you what happened too. during the 80s, there was that big push by, remember that Truth campaign? You guys are a little younger than me, but Truth campaign was running wild on MTV. And these guys were all about, against cigarettes, and they were just casting a wide net. Okay. So that's where those heavy duty anti-smoking rules came in place. And when they were running around to every city, county, and state, these guys, in a lot of the blue states or anything that was controlled by the Dems, they were like, all right, do whatever you want. You want to ban smoking? You want to cut out where you can't do it, where, with a bar, they just had some really tight rules. Florida had a more common sense approach to it, and like I said, there's a lot of other states where you just basically wherever you can smoke a cigar and buy booze, that's a state where it's a little more liberal on your freedoms. But those it's hard to undo any of the rules when they say can't smoke and serve booze. It's just hard. It's hard to get a politician to stick his neck out and go back and change that rule. It's not that it can't be done. It's very difficult though. So there's certain states where I don't think you'll ever change. Not where you guys are. I don't think you can change it. But it's if you get an active county commission or a city council or state, gets harder to change. But I have seen it done locally, and I think it can be done. Matter of fact, like there's a city like Louisville had some really bad indoor smoking things, and I think that's a city where those can be changed, where you can have a cigar bar, just because there's a little more common sense there, even though they said you can't have cigars and liquor. But I believe that if you had enough working on the city, you can get a council to say, hey, I think we should do this. And you just use models of a place like Corona Cigars. Say, look, this is good for the neighborhood. It's good for the tenant mix inside of whatever it is, or good for downtown, and whatever it is, it's always good for the area. And it's a place where people like to safely hang out and be social and have cigars and spend money. So most of the people that are in the local type of stuff can make changes, especially in, I say Louisville, because there's a lot of areas Louisville could use some help, right? And there's a lot of other cities just like that. So, I think it can happen. It's a lot of work though.
Yeah. Well,
so as far as your cigars and your booze, what do you make? Is it 50-50?
Yeah,
not for us.
Okay.
Now, Corona Cigar's primary business, we are very, huge cigar stores with a big bar too, but the primary focus is the cigars, and that's key. And so the alcohol component is a complement for the cigar lifestyle and stuff. But what happens if you start getting over 50% in liquor versus your cigars, your store becomes a bar that has cigar smoking, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Versus this is a cigar store for cigar smokers, for guys. This is the culture. This is what we do. It's all about that, and we're kind of strict on the rules too. We don't allow vaping and cigarettes inside the cigar store when you're smoking cigars.
Yeah.
Not that we have anything against that, okay? But let's be real. Cigars, besides the taste, the aroma is an incredibly important part of that experience with your cigar.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to enjoy the aroma of your cigar if there's a Marlboro Red, 5 feet away from you.
Yeah.
And so that's, or a grape vape over there, or even worse, if some dude's, smoking a blunt, that stuff, it's going to smell the whole place up. We don't allow that. It's just, we're all about cigars.
Yeah. So the news recently that sort of ties in with news from last year, where the Judge Mehta made the decision that the FDA acted capriciously, and then the FDA said, well, we're going to appeal that decision, and the FDA just lost that appeal. And the likelihood that they're going to take that to the Supreme Court is pretty low, from what I understand. So, and I've heard, some, cheering in the streets here and there from some of my cigar friends and things like that. So that, I mean, that means the fight's over, right, Jeff? We're all, everything's good, right?
No, not at all. These guys will regroup. But the FDA, to be honest with you, the whole Tobacco Control Center is a scam, in my opinion. The entire project is a scam. The fact that they went after cigars, that's just the nature of the beast, because bureaucratic agencies are always looking to get bigger. They're never looking to get smaller and have less regulations. It's always about growing bigger, 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 bigger. And that's just the monstrosity of government we have now. And that's why we have Doge coming out, where people are like, listen, we got to look at this because this is nonsense. But FDA and tobacco control is a perfect example of this. That started 2000, I'd say probably about 2011 is really where they started getting going with their giant building in Bethesda, Maryland. I tell you, it's like a palace, right? Huge place, money's no object, because they just get it off the sale of all tobacco products, right? So it's this monster funding program that goes to them, right? Now let's look at this. 10 years later, can you tell me what's changed in the cigarette industry where you can say, oh man, this tobacco control is amazing. Look what they did. Can you tell me one thing that's different from then to now?
No.
We spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on this, right? What'd they do with it? The pack of Marlboro Reds looks the same today as it did in 2009.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that.
Except now, what are they now?
What $20 a pack?
Are they $20 a pack now?
Besides the price going up, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. This is a perfect example of a huge waste of money, right? That whole tobacco control center really should just be abolished. End of story. You could take that, because the taxing that comes off of it, they're using it. Right? You could just put it to any other use you want. Apply it towards a national debt. I don't care what you do. But what that tobacco control center is, they should look at closing that whole place and selling off the real estate, whatever it is, because it's a colossal waste of money. Nothing's been accomplished. We had alcohol, tobacco, and firearms that used to control. They still control the unit. They just have more people looking at it, right? So you had the ATF. They still exist. In the state, every state has a tobacco control in the state itself. So if you were trying to sell anything to underage people, you had local sheriff's departments would do it. You'd have state people that would do that. So enforcement is still there. It was there. So again, it's just a colossal waste of money. And so, and as far as this FDA thing goes, the biggest thing that people should take away from the court decision here is what I've spent so many days up in DC lobbying for the cigar industry. At the end of the day, these people lie. That's all they do is they lie. They would literally walk down the halls of Congress with this place called Tobacco Free Kids, which is a non-government organization that's funded by the whole left-wing anti-tobacco groups, right? And they'd lie. They'd lie about who uses cigars. They'd lie about the health risks. We had our own, white papers and we'd show Monograph 9, but they'd literally go into the other offices and lie about us. And we're like, listen, ask them to show you the data that shows what they're saying is true. And they couldn't, and that's why they lost their court case.
Yeah,
because it's based on lies. Okay, now that's just on the FDA tobacco control. I'm telling you right now, the entire FDA is corrupt. The entire FDA is corrupt. They're owned by the big pharma companies. That it's a revolving door, and that's the other problem that we have. Nobody in tobacco control, even though they're lying, right? They have to lie. If you work for tobacco, anything under that word FDA, those three letters. If you were to do anything that looked pro-tobacco, it ruins your career trajectory. Everybody that works in the FDA is looking for their next career move. And where's the next career move? Pfizer, Merck, every one of the healthcare or pharmaceutical companies. So they have to play into this big lie. And that's why the whole system's corrupted. You can't trust any of them.
Well, and that's why, he's not with the PCA anymore, but Scott Pierce, who was the former executive director of the PCA, said no. Politicians are the same way. A politician doesn't want. They're not going to stake their career on anything that isn't 100% negative towards tobacco.
That's not true.
Not true. We got a couple here.
Well, we have. I'm saying that, yes, there are exceptions, but for the most part, broadly, there are so many politicians that are like, I'm not going to say anything even remotely positive towards tobacco because it'll ruin my career.
No, it depends on the politician.
Okay.
There's a ton of politicians that are in it for the right reasons. But I will say this as an overall assessment of this, of politics in general. Politicians like to create problems, right? Politicians, Congress, especially members of Congress, every 2 years they got to run a campaign. It's very expensive to run a campaign. How do you raise money? You create problems. Because if you create problems, you're going to have one group that's going to be funding the one group that's on one side of this issue. You have another group that's going to be supporting everybody financially on the other side of the issue. If there were no problems that were created in Congress, they'd have no customers. Their customers are the lobbyists and the groups that pay them. That's why these things, problems are good for business. I remember Alan West used to say this back when Alan West was a congressman in Florida. There's a lot of straight shooters in Congress, especially on the conservative side. And the reason being, a lot of the guys, if you're conservative, generally you get involved in government because you've been done wrong by government or have seen this happen. You've watched a father lose a business due to government regulation, or you've seen something, your kid get killed in a useless war or something wrong, right? Or if you're a liberal, you generally become a politician because you like telling other people what to do. I shouldn't even say liberal because that's not the true word of liberal. Left-wing people, right? They want to control. And how do you gain control? By getting involved in politics and creating rules, lots of rules, right? So most conservatives, that's where you start finding a few people that are more honest, because some of those guys have money too. They didn't get money from politics. They actually might have owned a car dealership or invented a car alarm, or I'm just going through actual members of Congress, what they do. People have made a lot of money in other industries and said, I want to kind of pay back, or I want to be able to make sure that the next generation has the opportunity I had. So there's plenty of guys that will stand up. Bill Posey, my friend who was the congressman in Florida, that actually introduced the bill to keep cigars from being regulated from the FDA. He didn't do it for money. That guy he had a backbone that was so strong. He didn't care if he ran negative press about him and cigars. He didn't care. It didn't matter. He's like, listen, that's my principle. He smoked cigarettes and he felt like he was abused. He saw tobacco control abusing people. He's like, these guys in cigars are just not something that. These guys are not something that should be getting beat up on. Yeah. So anyway, there's good politicians. There's obviously a lot of crooked ones, but there's plenty of good ones out there too.
Yeah.
So am I hearing you might have a future in politics?
I never say no. I mean, I got kids that are, I got one that's gone. I got another one's in high school. So you never know. I mean, you just never know. I would never run for politics if my kids were still around, because I think what happens is that if people used to joke and say, they still do, oh, politicians don't work. Yeah, they do. Have you ever been around them? If they're a member of Congress, they do. They start in the morning with a fundraiser breakfast. They go to their office with meetings. They go to a lunch that's a fundraiser. They spend the rest of the afternoon with meetings or dialing for dollars. Then they go to some other lobbyist event at night. And they do that. That's a long day, okay? And they got to go to D.C. to do this, right? So you got travel time, especially if you're a long way away. If you're, flying from Montana into D.C., it's a long flight, right? And so you're going to be, not spending time with your kids. So it's a tough road for people that get into it. And that's why there's a lot of broken marriages, that guys that are in politics that didn't do it when they're younger and have kids. I think that's why a lot, the word statesman was used a lot when they developed, when the United States was formed. It was a lot of older guys with a little wisdom that got involved in politics to, try and protect the country and steer us in the right direction.
Yeah. You talked a little bit ago about, the philosophy about life's too short to smoke a cheap cigar. Yeah. And I have a lot of agreement with that. But there has been a trend, with a lot of consumable products, since COVID, with prices going up and things like that. And we're seeing on hand-rolled cigars, we're seeing prices increase, and we're seeing more, because we used to have just, a small handful of products with that ultra premium price point, and that ultra premium, flavor.
What's the ultra premium price point to you?
Well, to that, and that's kind of my question is, the ultra premium price point today versus the ultra premium price point 7 years ago is, and I know prices, you're going to see prices increase every year, but the increase has been distinctive in the last 2 to 3 years. So for me, ultra premium price point is $25 per cigar or higher is, to me, ultra premium.
That's close. I think now it's probably 30 and above.
Yeah, and I'm wondering. I want your thoughts about that increase, where maybe the ultra premium, that line of demarcation used to be $20, and obviously back in the 90s it was like $8 to $10, and now it's maybe 5 years ago it was $20, and now it's 30 or 35. So, but it feels like it's been more drastic in the last 3 years. Have you seen a bigger sort of upturn in that level, or do you think it's been an even increase?
Well, the price increase came on too late. I talk to manufacturers all the time, and I was advising them during COVID. I said, listen, you guys need to raise your prices, because they would the shipping prices doubled and tripled on them. Labor prices went up, and they were really slow on raising their prices. I said, it's going to come back and hurt you later. You should start getting your do it incrementally here, because you're going to get caught next year. And it's easier to have an incremental, smaller price increase than a big one, right? And I knew they were going to have to start doing it, because look, during COVID, they didn't raise their prices. Remember that? They didn't raise their prices, and yet their shipping containers cost 3 times as much to ship back then. Labor was super expensive. And then they're behind the 8 ball once Biden got elected, and they opened up the immigration. Nicaragua lost a tremendous amount of people. A tremendous amount of workforce is gone. Same thing in Honduras, right? The prices are getting much more expensive, and the prices are going to continue to go up. Let's talk about what you call super premium, because I think there's 3 categories. To me, super premium would be, well, first off, let's talk about, Padron's a great example, right? You got your regular brown band Padrones, right? Your 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, right? Then you got your anniversary series. Those are I would call them, we used to call them super premium, right? I don't call them super premium anymore, because there's another level above that, which is the 80th. And then, all the special edition ones that they've done in the last 10 years, right? The 88. So you just go down a list, whatever, the 45th, all those. So there's about 10 other Padrones, right, that are higher than the 64s and the 26s. So there's really 3 levels, right? You see that with Davidoff, right? There's no cheap Davidoff. Let's call it the inexpensive, but the lower priced Davidoff manufactured product. It's not in the same factory, but it's right next door. Would be the Avos, right? So you got Avo, you got Davidoff White Label, but above the White Label, now we got the Year of the Snake, the Year of the Rabbit, the Winston Churchill limited edition. So you've got a third category again, right? Same thing with Fuente, right? You got the Opus X, you got the Opus X Blue one, you got the Opus X Society, you got go through the list, right? So there's really 3 categories. So what's super premium? I don't know. So there is another, let's call it that third category of let's call it super premium if you want. But then, in that category, you got Atabey, you got Byron. Those cigars sell really well for us. And like I said, so there's sort of that category was created in the last 10 years, in my opinion, that extra top tier one, because Fuente owned it for a long time with Opus X, and then others started playing in that marketplace too.
But if let's say there's a brand new cigar company that just launches, let's say, and I'm just making this up out of thin air, because the trade show's coming up in a couple months. This brand new cigar company shows up at this trade show, and let's say they're launching 3 cigars, and they're 3 different blends with 3 different wrapper leaves, and these cigars, they're gonna enter the marketplace as a brand new company and a brand new brand with a $32 per stick retail. I mean, and we've seen some of that. We've seen more of that in the last 2 or 3 years.
I've only seen one.
Well, maybe not $30 plus, but definitely $20 plus for a brand new cigar hitting the market in the last 3 years. I've seen quite a few.
All right. Well,
and
my
so
my radar is different than yours. You probably get hit by a lot of people that are new in the business. All right. It's weird.
I guess I'm just wondering about, like, is it better for a company to kind of get their feet under them, in the $12 to $15 price range and
or
gain
lower
a base, or lower even, than it is to come right out of the gate swinging with, $25 a stick?
Almost like a grassroots, right? You start low and you start building your reputation. You start building
I have this conversation. Seems like every time I'm in the retail stores and somebody that's trying to get in the business knows I'm there.
Okay.
I'll get I don't use the word ambushed, but it's just a tactic.
A little bit though, yeah.
All right, but no, it's all right. And I try not listen. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just trying to save them money or give them advice. Okay. If you walk in Corona Cigar right now, you're the customer, right? And you got all these cigars. We got Davidoff, you got Padron, you got Fuente, you got Perdomo. Just go down a list of the top brands. We got them, right? Plasencia, by the way, is one of the newer ones. I call them newer. It's still been around they've been around forever, but I'm sorry.
Forever, yeah.
But the Plasencia brand, as far as being like a top, $30 plus brand, that's still relatively new. I think 8 years maybe maybe it's even 10. I don't know. But anyway, or let's say Steve Saka, right? We got the FSG Black Angus. I think that's a $30 cigar, right? Here's the difference. Steve's been in it for a long time. He's trusted by the cigar community. Nestor Plasencia has been doing it before I was probably born. He's trusted. Everybody knows Plasencia. He's I think he's hands down the largest tobacco grower in Central America.
Yeah.
Eduardo Fernandez is probably a close second. So when Plasencia rolls out a cigar, it's trusted by the retailers, trusted by the manufacturers, trusted by the consumers, and the manufacturers know that they're not going to badmouth that guy because they know he's legit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm Tom, Dick, and Harry, and we decide, hey, we're going to have a new cigar called Three Amigos, and it's like, hey, Jeff, can you bring in our cigar? It's we got this, that, blah, 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 made in this factory, and it's $20 a stick. And I'm going to say, okay, listen, I'm going to put it on the shelf. I'm not going to put it on the shelf, but I say, let's say I put it on the shelf. What's going to make that customer walk past the Padron, walk past the Fuente, walk past the Davidoff, walk past the Perdomo, walk past Lito Gomez, walk past Rocky Patel, just go down the list and decide, I'm going to spend my $20 on the Three Amigos. Never heard of the guy. They don't know who he is. The guy was whatever. He's selling insurance during the day, and this guy's a lawyer during the day, and this guy's doing it. And it's like, okay, you love cigars, we get it. But in reality, think about this through the consumer. What's going to make him pick up your Three Amigos cigar versus those other trusted brands? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to answer the question for you. Nothing. The only thing that's going to make him do that is if the Three Amigos are in the store saying, hey, listen, I want you to try this cigar. Give them the story, give them the romance, whatever. And it might be a great cigar, but unless they're going to stop the guy in the aisle and keep him from going in and buy the brand that he knows and trusts and has been buying for a long time, he's not going to spend the money on that new one.
Right.
Unless it's a super rating of Cigar Aficionado or there's an incredible buzz about it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why it's so challenging for new companies to start in the business, even though the barriers are super low to this industry. It's very easy to get into to introducing a brand. You can go Action Label, get a bunch of bands printed, go down to Nicaragua, find one of the 50 factories and band up some good cigars. Boom, you're in business. For a moment, you're in business. You better find people to buy those cigars.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when I tell new guys in the industry, they get really upset with me when I tell them that. So listen, I'm giving you, I don't have all day to give you, my wife always says, buy the book type of thing, right? And stop giving everybody free advice. But I'm like, listen, I'm trying to help you, even though you're probably hating my guts because I just told you this stuff. But I'm trying to help you. And so at the end of the day, that's, it's a tough road to build a brand. I'm not saying it can't be done because I've watched it be done and I've helped a lot of brands to that. But let me give you an example. Another like Howie G. So Howie G Cigars. Guys from Orlando. He asked about putting the cigars in the store. He was a customer at first, right? And I said, Howie, let me tell you how this works. But here's the good thing. Howie had a couple football players. So he had a little celebrity does help at least get the door open a little bit, 42, right? So I said, listen, Howie, I'll give you a shot. But let me tell you how this works. You've got to sell the cigars. And if you don't get people buying them, they're going to go. And the man has worked it. And so I don't know if the cigars are selling outside of Central Florida or whatever, but all I know is the guy's worked it, right?
Yeah.
Another guy, Z from Finca Santa Fe, helped him out. They suffer us. I don't know how they do outside, Central Florida, whatever. But it can be done. I've watched it. Look at Kyle with Warp, another one. When he started, brought his stuff in.
Yeah.
Pete Johnson did it too. So there's a lot of guys. It can happen.
But it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Not only is a lot of work, but it's like 2% might succeed.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, but in order to get it to sell in a store, it's not easy. And as a retailer, remember, retailers are business people, right? And we're in a business. I don't care whether a Corona cigar or any other store. We're in the business of making sure that when a customer walks in, we have the products they want. We're not in the business to try and build a new startup brand. That's not what a retailer does. That is not what we do. When a customer comes in, they're supposed to have great service, a great experience, and have the products that they're looking for. That's what a retailer is supposed to do. So if there's, now think of that last thing I said, the products they're looking for. So let's say this guy, customer, hears about some cigar, or sees it on some show, or hearing some, buzz on social media, then he comes in the cigar store and is looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And as a retailer, we should have it. But unless you got that groundswell going, that's where it matters.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned Howard G. We've become friends with him over the last few years at trade shows, and we had him on the show just a couple months ago. And since it was his first time on the show, one of the things we like asking new people is, who were some of your mentors and things like that? You were the name that he mentioned.
Cool. I did not know that. I'm glad to hear that.
He was very fond of your help with everything because he goes to Corona Cigar, has a cigar all the time, same one. He goes in there and talks to the guys, and he was glad that you were able to get him in there.
Yeah. We gave him a shot, but also I could see it in him, right? I knew that this man knows how to connect with people. He's got a great personality for this. Because let's face it, the cigar industry, even though we don't have that many personalities, I guess we do, but what I'm thinking of the level of like Avo Vezian. He was, if you had to pick like one of the best cigar personalities out there, Fuente's one of them, Carlito Fuente, but Avo Vezian is at the top.
Yeah.
Avo can actually connect when he was around. I don't care where he was at our stores or anywhere. I don't care where it was. That guy could connect with people, and he'd make people smoke cigars that never even thought about smoking a cigar. Next thing you know, I love this, right?
Yeah.
Howie's got a good, I have a spider sense that dude he knows how to connect with people, and so personality, like Rocky Patel, the same type of thing. Personality knows how to get out there and get engaged with the customers. Jonathan Drew is one of the best too. So there's certain people that know how to do it, right? And again, when they're good at it, they make it look easy. There's those people I just mentioned are very good at it.
Yeah. did you have something? Or?
I got something.
Yeah.
You were bringing up Saka and this Black Angus cigar that I've heard a lot of rave about, and we heard his side of the story on how that came out and everything. What's your side of the story and how that came into fruition and how that project came out? And were there any ups and downs throughout the process, or how did that all work?
All right, I feel like I got the FBI here. If our stories don't align, they're gonna throw me in jail. So, dude, it's been so long. Let me think how this was. Well, you guys know I've been growing cigar tobacco since 2013, so now we're going on 11 years. I don't know, it might have been 4 or 5 years ago. Could have been longer, I really don't know. But Steve was at the farm. We were going through a container of tobaccos getting ready for export, and he said, "Hey, can you peel off 100 pounds of the real thick leaves, the top primings, and then just mark them off and have them go to he'll get them Nicaragua." So our two primary places that our commitments on the tobaccos, J.C. Newman and Drew Estate.
Yeah.
I'm smoking an American right now, made in Tampa. That's
Nice.
got a wrapper on it, right?
Yeah, that's a good
one. When J.C. Newman gets the tobacco, they sort through it all because it's one container. It's got to go to one factory first. So it lands over there. They sort through it and pull all the wrapper. Wrapper is between 40 and 50% of our crop because we're really selective on what leaves we pull out of the field. So that's a real high percentage, by the way, for sun-grown tobacco to get that much wrapper. After what they go through, then the filler is going to go to the Drew Estate factory for them to make the 20-acre farm and FSG.
Yeah.
We peeled off 100 pounds of the top primings. Top primings, you really can't make wrapper on because they're real thick. So they're the Lajero leaves. And those, like I said, I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe. I can't remember. But anyway, 100 pounds went to Steve. So Steve took that, fermented it. And, everybody that works with FSG has their own. I don't get involved with anything on how they make the cigars. Last thing you want to do is get in the kitchen and try and tell a chef how to cook, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own. Some guys are great at whatever, grilling. Some guys are great at smoking. Some guys are great at baking, whatever. But in reality, when it comes to fermenting tobacco, it is somewhat like that. Every factory's got their own little method. They've got their own type of the way they do their pilones, how big they are, how small they are, how much humidity they run. Everybody's got their own little way of doing it. So you can take the same tobacco from our farm and send it off to 5 different factories, and those guys, you'll end with 5 different flavor, not a huge difference in flavor, but grilled chicken and poached chicken or smoked chicken has 3 different flavors. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All chicken though, right? So these guys will work it, and you'll get some different, just different tastes from every one of those factories. Plus, they blend with other tobaccos. Whatever Drew Estate has, what J.C. Newman has, what Davidoff has, what Aganorsa has, whatever. They all have different tobaccos, so that's ingredients in their kitchen, right? So that's how we come up with so many different cigars with FSG tobacco with a lot of different flavor and tastes and profiles, right? So Steve, I've known Steve forever, and so I'm like, Steve Howard, he knows what I like. My favorite cigar is the Sin Compromiso. That's just the ones I like. I like that flavor profile. So he knew he should get this cigar somewhat like a Sin Compromiso flavor profile, but season it up, spice it up, whatever you want to do, call it with FSG tobacco.
Yeah.
So really, other than it was about a year ago when he had the first samples, and I was like, well, I really enjoy that cigar. Stuck with the first blend he gave me. Now, he had gone through tons and tons and tons, hundreds probably blends before he gave me even the first sample. But that's because what he gave me was what he thought was the best as far as a flavor profile. And I agree with him. And I never tasted those other ones that he blended.
Yeah.
All I know is what he gave me. I said, Steve, this is rock solid. It's right on point. Let's do it. And so he basically, the Black Angus, ties into, we do a lot of cattle and stuff. And so that was tied into that. And then, we worked a little bit on the band together, but all the boxing and the presentation, 99% of that was all Steve. So turned out great. I shouldn't say as I knew it would, but I mean, the guy's good, right? We work with good people. So, so if you're dealing with competent folks, people that are at the top of their game, you're going to get a great cigar out of them. Just like Monte Cristo FSG, you got Rafael Nodal on the team over there working with stuff, and Altadis has a ton of tobacco to work with. So, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because Steve said in the beginning he was not super jazzed about it. He said he called you a couple times, and he's like, after he had gotten back to Nicaragua and he was doing the first few samples with the FSG tobacco, he said he called you and he's like, Jeff, I can't work with this tobacco. and
I don't remember that. But listen, Steve is a good storyteller too. Okay, so he is a bit of a salesman there. So I always say Steve is the best at always insulting himself, but that's part of his style. It's like a comedian. They know how to
self-deprecating humor. Yeah,
they know how to do that. So, I know that the flavor profile, there's a distinct flavor profile of it. A lot of guys say there's citrus in it. I don't taste the citrus, but a lot of guys do. And then there's, some people say it has a real earthy flavors, aroma. Kind of reminds of one of the tobaccos that Davidoff uses, has some of that. But anyway, it all depends on how they, how they combine it and what they come up with. But the cigar is super popular. He did a great job with it. Really, all of our, when I first started the project with Florida Sungrown, I wanted to have a lot of different factories making small amounts of different cigars. The challenge is now, that's not really a challenge because I can always just say no, but I created a lot of work for myself. So that's the thing. We can't grow as much tobacco as we really need. So it is what it is. It's a micro, you have a micro distillery. You can't make a micro distillery pump out, tons of barrels of whiskey. We have a micro farm, right? This is how much it is. And the farm's a ton of work. I don't care whether it's small, big, or whatever. Tobacco is just a ton of work. And there's a ton of risk involved. The risk doesn't bother me that much because, it's not like I betting a farm, let's call it, on this thing. It's a passion project, but it's a lot of work. So that's for sure.
Jeff, if you don't mind me asking, how big is your farm?
20 acres on the cigar side.
20 acre farm, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So is there of all the, because there have been quite a few of the FSG of projects over the last number of years with the FSG tobacco in it, and I'm sure you're always having discussions with people in the cigar business, certain brand people and stuff like that. Is there a brand that you would really love to get FSG tobacco into that you're hoping someday in the future this can be like one of the FSG tobacco projects that hasn't had their name on?
I'd say there's two. Yeah, there's two. I had to think about it for a minute because pretty much all of them that we've wanted to work with, we have. But there's two. One of them, I mean, when George Padron's dad was alive, I remember the first crop, and I brought some cigar leaf for him to smoke and stuff. I thought it was, because listen, that guy's like the godfather of great tobacco in Nicaragua too. So I would have loved to have the old man blend something there, but who knows? Maybe George would. I don't know. I doubt it. These guys are really, Padron's very particular about, just doing their own stuff. That's just what they do. So I wouldn't pressure them or even ask them to try to deviate their history of just doing, Padron cigar. And they don't do private labels or anything else like that. But maybe that would be, because I have tons of respect for the Padron family. And when I first started to go in Nicaragua there, I remember going with a guy named Kiki Berger. He was like, he was always hanging out with George's dad. And so we'd go over there, and it was just good memories and stuff. And I have the utmost respect for them. The other one that I'd really like to do with, would be a cigar with Hirochi Robaina in Cuba.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, the reason being, Hirochi's been to my farm. I've been to his farm. There's a very long history of Florida and Cuba with cigars and tobacco, longer than any of the stuff in Central America or Caribbean, anything like that. Tampa and Cuba were constantly working together with cigars. Matter of fact, I remember being in one of the factories there. They call it. It's the factory had the H. Upman sign on it. They make all different cigars in there. It's in downtown Havana, and literally on the wall there's a Tampa and Havana old cigar artwork there from the 1900s. And so just for the historic part of it, I would love to blend the cigar with Hirochi's tobacco and my tobacco together. And matter of fact, I mean, the seeds I have are from there too. So that's what we grow. So it's the exact same DNA, the plants. Just some are grown over there in Hirochi's neighborhood, and some are grown in ours, but they're the same seeds.
That would be
so amazing. I would love to have a cigar made with those two, the Florida and the Cuban tobacco, that are the exact same seeds, but grown in two different regions.
Yeah.
Because we have a ton of similarities with Cuba as far as altitude and temperature, but what we don't have is our soil types are different. So they are distinctly different tobaccos. So that would be one of the coolest things, just for the historical part of it too. Him and I I thought it would be cool with just the Cuban flag and the American and Florida flag there together on a brand.
Yeah.
So anyway, that would be cool. I doubt it'll ever happen, but I still think it would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Is there any smaller companies that are coming out or have been around for a while that you would like to work with?
When you say work with,
Blackworks?
No. When you say work with, retailer-wise, that want to sell their cigars or cigars?
Blending a cigar.
Oh, like a FSG project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, I don't have enough tobacco to do what I got to do. We don't have any Monte Cristo FSG. I got to get some more tobacco to them, which I don't think it's going to happen this year, maybe next year. So that means there'll be a couple year hiatus of that brand. I still got to keep, JC Newman and Drew Estate and try and peel off another, bale of tobacco for Steve to do a 2.0 on Black Angus. So I don't have the tobacco.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Any ideas about having another farm?
No, heck no, man. Dude, there's so much work. I've got the land. I just don't have I don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
It's too much. This year, actually, I'm taking the spring off because I was growing 2 crops a year. So that only gave me a few months in the summer in between. And so, it's let me tell you, man, growing tobacco, talk to anybody that's ever worked on a tobacco farm, man. That's freaking hard work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think it's time?
I think it is.
Let me see. I have a watch now, guys. Look.
Hey, he's got a watch.
Oh, it looks like it's time.
All right, guys. It is now time for this week's
Numero de los Muertos.
All right. Numero de los Muertos, episode 276. So this week, the number is just over 1,300 people every year in the United States die from this. So, Jeff, you, along with our viewers and Raul and Justin, get to play 20 questions, try to break it down. What's this weird cause of death?
I like the way you always turn the phone like I could see that shit.
Well, I know your eyesight's just as bad as mine.
Is it on land or water?
It could be either.
What was the number again?
Just over 1,300 people every year in the United States.
Okay.
On average.
Extreme heat from the guess?
Not extreme heat. No. Good guess, though.
I see what you did there.
Uh-huh.
Workplace accident?
I possible that some of them could be workplace accidents, but it doesn't specify.
David Floyd says gangrene.
Ooh, I actually haven't done that one before. No, it's not gangrene, but that's a really good. I'm gonna have to put that in my back pocket for a future.
Does it have to do with any first responders? Police, fire, EMS.
As far as the victims or the
perpetrators or victims, either or.
It doesn't say. I don't.
How about carbon monoxide poisoning?
Oh, that's a good guess. It's not carbon monoxide poisoning, but that's a good guess.
Dehydration.
Drinking too much water.
Nope.
Dehydration.
Nope.
Bee stings.
Nope.
Are animals involved?
Animals are not involved.
Or insects or any of that?
Nope, not insects, not disease. It's not disease or illness.
Is this something inflicted on somebody else?
It's not inflicted by another person. It's circumstantial.
I'm guessing the guess no.
No, it's not that.
Falling off a ladder.
Ooh.
Nope, not falling off a ladder. Excuse me.
It's not drowning.
Not drowning.
It's not school shooting.
Lightning?
Not lightning. Not school shootings.
What was the time frame?
Every
year.
Every year.
Okay.
Just over 1,300 on average per year.
Getting run over.
No, not getting run over.
Fake diseases.
Nope. Fake disease.
Fake diseases.
What, like COVID?
Oh boy. Don't get Jeff started. Come on now.
It wasn't fake. It was just created in a lab.
Right. Yeah.
Attacked by wild dogs. No, because there's no dogs, right?
Yeah. No animals involved.
Bought too many Corona cigars and wife kills them.
That's possible.
Sounds about right.
Give us a hint.
Is it a natural disaster?
Not a natural disaster, but a natural occurrence.
Natural
Hurricanes?
hurricanes.
Yeah. Not a hurricane.
Tornadoes.
Nope, because that would be a tornadoes and hurricanes are natural disasters.
Oh, okay.
They're in the same category as earthquakes and tsunamis.
So it's not a natural disaster.
Not a natural disaster, but it's a natural occurrence.
Natural occurrence. Okay. Huh.
What natural occurrence, but not a natural disaster?
Yes.
Nicotine poisoning.
Not nicotine poisoning. That's actually exceptionally rare.
Alcohol poisoning?
Not alcohol poisoning.
Food poisoning.
No, we just did that a couple weeks ago.
Malpractice?
Nope, not medical malpractice. It's not related to doctors or
Snow accident.
So David, you're on the right track.
So is he getting colder or warmer?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Skiing?
It's an accident?
Not skiing.
No, can't be skiing.
Snowmobiling?
No, but you're on the right.
So it's involved with snow.
Not precisely, no, but
But it's an accident.
But it's cold.
Slipping on the ice.
not slipping. We did slipping on
Falling.
the ice.
Hypothermia.
Hypothermia.
Oh,
Yes.
Jeff Borysiewicz.
Yes.
Took
Jeff
us long enough.
Borysiewicz. So hypothermia and or frostbite. Cold related hypothermia or frostbite causes over 1,300 deaths per year on average in the United States alone. That's just the U.S.
Have you ever seen frostbite on a human?
I've had it severely. I had a blister the size of a softball from a case of frostbite.
Holy.
And almost lost a section of my leg to frostbite. 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago.
So you were part of the numbers.
I was part
But
of
you
the
didn't
number.
die.
I didn't die.
You didn't die.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still here.
But you did die.
So Matt, I bet you if you look at that number over the last 10 years, it's continued to go up tremendously from what it was 10 years ago.
I think you're probably right.
Why do you say that, Jeff?
Because of the people that are strung out on fentanyl and heroin.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone down a street in zombie apocalypse land?
Oh yeah, I see it daily.
He's a firefighter
I
in
see it a lot.
downtown
Yeah,
Minneapolis.
all over the
All right,
city.
so if you took that whole street where all those people are just standing there like this, right?
Yeah.
And it's freezing cold out, and after they get done, they're on the ground because they in a stupor.
And they don't realize they're freezing to death and that their toes are getting frostbite on them. Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not global warming.
Mine was actually not caused by, my frostbite was not caused by like exposure. It was I was playing basketball and I got my knee just completely went the wrong direction. And one of the guys goes in the there was a fridge and he goes to grab an ice pack out of there, and it's one of those chemical ice packs.
Yep.
But it turns out it's one you're not supposed to reuse those.
Nope.
Somebody, after using it once, put it back in the freezer, and he took that previously used one and he put it directly on the skin and then wrapped it super tight with an ace bandage, and then they drove me to the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, the spot where they had put that ice pack, you could knock on it and it sounded like steel. It was hard as a rock. Oof. And I almost lost like a 7-inch section of flesh off the backside of my leg.
That sounds like it was a chemical burn.
Yeah, it was basically. Yeah.
So Matt, that's good advice for dads and coaches and everybody else. Don't stick one of those directly on somebody.
Yeah.
You can see how you had good intentions and then do that, and then next thing you know, you got a problem.
Yeah, no good. So that was Numero de los. Oh, sorry, that was this week's Numero de los Muertos.
And if you are interested, that can be yours if you're a cigar.
That's right.
Company.
That's right. If you're interested, let us know. All right, so it's time to reveal this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by Postania Cigars. Yes, you're right, Raul. This bourbon is very familiar to me. I know I've had it before. Just taking another little swig there. I am certain this is one of those bourbons that's finished in those Amburana casks, because it's got that distinct kind of tree bark cinnamon kind of flavor to it. The only ones that I really know, it's becoming a little more popular in the last couple of years, but the only ones that I really know well are, one is the Penelope makes
Rio.
One that's finished in that kind of cask.
It's the Rio.
And Barrel makes one.
Yep.
And I think it's called Round One.
RD1, yep.
RD1 makes one. And those are the only three that I'm familiar with. If I had to say that between those three, this one, I would say this is closer to the Barrel than it is the Penelope or the Round One. It is. Oh my God! I actually guessed one right. Holy shit!
I'm impressed.
This is the Barrel Bourbon, and it's called the Barrel Bourbon Cask Finish Series Amburana, and it is 116 proof. So yeah,
so not only was your palate right on, but all the signs were leading towards the Barrel.
Yeah,
the last 3 weeks were all Barrel.
That's true. That's why I was like, in the end, okay, I'm on the fence between Penelope and Barrel. I'm just gonna say Barrel because the last 4 weeks have all been either Barrel or Seagrass was one of them, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So let's move on to the lightning round, brought to us by J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 114-year-old El Reloj cigar factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com.
So, there's a quick question here. Atabey Blacks. The guest wants to know how many boxes of Atabey Blacks are you getting?
50.
So, quite a few.
Yeah,
I like it.
I didn't do my top 25 list yet for 2024. I just haven't. I'll get up on Facebook soon. But Atabey was within the top 5 of the entire company for Corona Cigar. We sell a ton of those.
So Jeff, since you've been on the show quite a few times, you've had so many lightning round questions, but I've got this cool list of tons and tons of different ones. But I don't think we've done the.
Jeff, is this the first time I've been on the show when we've interviewed
Yes.
you?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with yours first.
So, what's the most overrated and underrated fast food restaurant chain that's out there?
It's either In-N-Out or Whataburger is the most overrated.
The very good answer.
I think chain, the most underrated, would either be Texas Roadhouse or Cracker Barrel.
Ooh, Cracker Barrel's delicious. I haven't had that one.
Yeah, I haven't had Cracker Barrel.
Now let me explain why. Right. So I've got a big RV, and every summer we would, for the last 10 years, take a trip. And so if you go to a Cracker Barrel, I don't care where it is, or Texas Roadhouse, wherever it is, those guys they're usually on point no matter where you go. Mm-hmm. So in almost every smaller city at least has those two. So I think those are the probably the most underrated. And then, like I said, I've been to both In-N-Out and Whataburger, and I don't get it. So they got a great business though, but I don't get the hype.
All right, so Jeff, build. What would you build on your perfect sandwich?
Oof. That'd be pretty much what a big Italian one is. You know, the Giona salami, add roast beef, smoked turkey, a good salty ham with some high quality Swiss cheese. On a nice, that was Italian bread that has a little crust to it.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, with oregano on it. You got to put oil in that good red wine vinegar and oregano. You got it.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
Oh, frick. We ask all these food questions late at night, man.
All right.
This is interesting. I don't think I've ever asked anybody this question. All right, Jeff, if you could trade places with anyone for one day, who would it be?
Dead or alive?
We'll go either one.
Either one.
Well, if it was dead, I wouldn't mind trading places with Jesus for a day and see what it was like being him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about alive?
That's a tough one. I would say Trump, but I don't want to get killed. So I don't know if I'd do that. That dude's interesting as hell, but yeah, I don't want to get shot. But yeah, I guess so. I just hope I got good security that day.
Yeah. All right, just one more. Okay, this is interesting. And this is not a family show, so we can talk about whatever we want to. What's your best scar story?
Right. Well, you can't see. I got a beard now. I have a big scar under this chin right here. When I was in 9th grade, and people used to surf a lot in high school, right? And so went out to Cocoa Beach with a couple buddies, and I could surf, but I sucked at it. But anyway, so I surfed, and a surfboard hit me right up underneath, and literally the skeg on the board went right underneath where your chin bone is. All the way up through to like the base of my tongue. It was wild. So when I got out of the water, my buddy, I'm like, dude, I feel like somebody, like I got an uppercut punch in my chin. And he looked at me, and his eyes got real big, and he's like, oh my God. He goes, you look like a lizard. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you got a big old gash under your chin. So I had to go to the hospital and get it sewn up. But yeah, that was my scar story.
Oh,
luckily you didn't get bit by a shark afterwards and then that blood in the water.
Yeah, no, listen, when I fell off the board, it was at the end of the ride, so it was like only about 3 feet of water, so it was all right.
There you go.
Man.
Glad you're still here.
Yeah.
I gave up after that.
So let's jump into notable smokables.
Brought to you by
nobody. Notable smokable. So Jeff, you remember us doing this segment on the show before. So basically we each name a cigar that we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now this could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades, but we haven't smoked it in a long time, and we just tried it again for the first time in a long time. Or it could be a cigar that's brand new to the market that we smoked for the first time ever. What's something you smoked recently, Jeff, that really stood out to you?
I broke into a box of Stanford Newman's 90th anniversary Cameroon Diamond Crown that he put out. He had it out before he died, and then he died shortly after, and then I got another box of those. But Stanford Newman was I remember him. He was a mentor. His whole family is actually the Newman family, probably the most honest and honorable family in the cigar business. Very nice people. But Stanford, he loved football, so he had a box at the Tampa Bay Bucs Stadium, and we used to always go to the football games with him. And he would sit on his stool back there and watch the game, and he loved it. So yeah, when he passed away, so I had that box, and it was just, I don't know, maybe about, I think I did in December. I lit one up just because. Here's the thing, right? A lot of us collect cigars, right? And we have these boxes that we put away, special boxes. And at some point, we really need to smoke those things because there's no point. This is kind of a downer story, but as a retailer, I do get those occasional phone calls or emails where they're like, hey, my husband was a big collector of cigars, and then he passed away, and I have all these cigars. And I think to myself, man, I wish that guy would have just broke into those boxes and smoked them and enjoyed them. Because, you know, we cigars are something we like to collect and cherish. But let's break into some of those boxes, like you broke into that box. Now, you've been holding on to it for 10 years. There's some boxes, you know, people are holding on for 20 and 30. And, you know, we sell a lot of pre-embargo cigars, and it's always the same story. It's an estate sale or somebody, you know, a generation that goes away and they got all these cigars. And it's like, you know, no, we should smoke them. So anyway. Yeah. That's my advice to guys that buy, you know, you got a you know, box of Padron Millenniums from 1999. Yeah, they're worth a ton of money, and yeah, but crack into them and smoke some of them.
Yeah, exactly. What's your notable this week, Raul?
My notable is a Liga 9 double Corona. I haven't smoked that in a while. It was like about two years old, maybe 3 years old, and I smoked one on Sunday. It's phenomenal.
So good. And a nice long cigar. That's one of those big, you know, cigars you can just sit and reflect with, you know. Yeah. Justin, you got a notable this week. You're back. I'm so glad.
I'm back. Let's see. I was at a little campfire with a buddy last night at his house and had a stick outside in the nice weather, and had a El Titan de Bronze Redemption in the Robusto style.
I've heard such good things about that cigar.
I love everything out of that factory. Because I think Kyle from Warp did some stuff out there before, and it's always been good stuff.
Yeah, they have such an insanely good reputation for quality out of that little tiny factory.
You know that's Willie Herrera's wife, that factory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very cool story how that comes together.
Yeah. My notable was, once again, it was what ended up being our 2024 cigar of the year. It was the Aventura, the Chancellor. And I was sitting here. My wife and her sister went to a concert on Friday night. So I just sat here and watched Cigar Dojo's show, Smoke Night Live. And I lit up Aventura Chancellor. And man, we made the right choice. That was a good cigar for us for Cigar of the Year, but just a nice reminder and delicious cigar.
And Jeff, if you want, Charles Josephs here said he's going to be in Tampa. He says one of the best lounges in the world. We'll be in from Michigan this week. We'd love to have a cigar with you if you're there.
Awesome, thank you, Charles, and glad to have you stopping by there. We get a lot of people from out of town. And, you know, earlier you asked about us having stores in other states too. And, you know, it's wild. We get people come in all the time in certain states. They're like, man, we can't do this. And I say, I know it's terrible, but we take it for granted here that we can hang out and have a cigar inside and a cocktail. So we love all you guys that come visit that can't do that in the hometown. Come to Florida.
Yeah, amen to that. So some coming attractions, actually one coming attraction for next few weeks on How About That Cigar. Next Monday night, February 3rd. I cannot believe it's February already. But February 3rd, next Monday night, we got Risty Ristevsky from JSK Cigars, Jazz Zoom Crawl Cigars, is going to be on the show. And we do have some other shows scheduled for later in February and then into March. And we're working on a show for February 10th and so on and so forth. Yeah. But as always, we're going to have some cool and fun stuff for you guys to learn about and, right along with us on How About That Cigar Live in the next few weeks. So you do not want to miss it. Jeff, if you would please give our viewers and listeners, where is the best place for them to keep up with everything going on with Corona Cigar Company?
Well, I would say Facebook is probably the best. And then my guys do all that posting on Instagram, obviously. But Facebook, for me personally, I post a lot of stuff on there too, as does Risty. I'm going to watch his show. I won't be able to watch it live, but I'll watch it. I think he's one of the, I like reading his posts. He's, he believes I think we have a lot of thoughts that align, and he's a critical thinker, and he's pretty advanced on stuff when it comes to, computers and crypto and cybersecurity and all that good stuff. So,
well, he's really out there and like 100% honest, come what may. And I absolutely respect that.
I have a ton of respect for him, and so that should be an interesting show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. Might be a long show. We'll see how it goes.
We'll bring up the crypto conversation.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk to Risty about. It's going to be a good time. Well, Jeff, as always, brother, I think this might be the 5th time. Oh, sorry, Raul, go ahead.
I just want to thank you for your sponsorship too. We appreciate you.
Yes,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Raul. So listen, I wanted to thank you for being a firefighter too. I had a neighbor for a long time that was a lieutenant in the fire department, and we used to drink beer and smoke cigars, and the stories. There's good, bad, and ugly in that job.
Yes, sir.
And appreciate what you do there.
Thank you.
Well, Jeff, it's you are on the top tier of the list of people we've had on the show most often. I mean, there's you and Pete Johnson and a few other names that have been on the show. I think this might be your 5th or 6th appearance on How About That Cigar Live, and I really appreciate it because we genuinely learn something every time, and also just get a chance to kind of be reminded of what it means to be a part of the cigar community. So, brother, again, from the bottom of our hearts, brother, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. And then also, one of the good things about some of the people you mentioned that you're having on the shows too, it's one of the benefits of being independently owned. All those people that you just mentioned, is that you do have the freedom to speak. You don't have to worry about that corporate censor or whatever, because corporations don't like guys talking and doing these kind of things. They got to keep it between the guardrails there. So it's nice having guys you can just ask them whatever you want, and they can usually answer without having to think, hey, what's the board of directors going to think about that, or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's cool. And but look, it's nice to have guys like Pete coming on there too. Good, straightforward guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again, brother, so much.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, viewers and listeners of How About That Cigar, guys, we are so grateful to you for watching and listening wherever it is that you watch or listen, whether that's live on Facebook, live on YouTube, or live on
Rumble.
And of course, if you listen after the fact on the audio podcast, we're grateful to you for making us a part of that. Whether you listen to How About That Cigar when you drive down, or whether you're driving down the road, working out, whatever it is you do when you listen to your favorite audio podcast, thanks for making us a part of it. If you have questions for any of us, please email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. You'll find us at HBT Cigar. Click on all of the big, beautiful follow, like, and subscribe buttons. And of course, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.